everything that he buys. He bought us. He don't consider us garbage. He bought us. First Corinthians 6:20. For ye are bought with a price. That's what 1 Corinthians 6:20 says. And when the Lord comes back from heaven, we'll be with him, absent from the body and present with the Lord. That's your soul right there. Now what is he coming back after? He's coming back after that dirt or that skeleton in those caskets that he bought. He bought the whole thing. He bought this thing here. We spent a whole lot of money trying to keep cute, and it ain't working. We're going back. Is that right? We're going back. And that's why I got a little pain in my neck and in my back, because God didn't say it wasn't going to hurt going back. But we're going back. He didn't buy the caskets, so the casket's going to be left here. But he bought what's in the caskets. Paul said, the dead in Christ shall rise. Is that right? Not the caskets, but the dead in Christ shall rise. Okay, look at 2 Kings 4:7. 2 Kings 4:7. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, go and sell the oil, and pay thy debt, and live thou and thy children on the rest. Now remember, remember, he didn't go in her house. But now it's time to tell what great things God has done. You know, when God does something for one of us, tell the rest of us, God did this for me. Is that right? We all members one of another. But the man of God said, go sell the oil and pay thy debt. She wasn't supposed to have any debt. Things happen. Things have to change. If God takes me out and I leave debt behind, the creditors will come after my wife. Something wrong with me. Well, we got to come repo this and repo that. Something wrong there. Now, I want to say this in closing. You know, we as believers need to know how to talk to these creditors, because they will talk down to you. Some of y'all run into them. They'll talk down to you. And if they have your phone number, amen. If they have your phone number, they will harass you. And we must know how to talk to them. You know, you don't have to be evil about it, but you got to know how to talk to them. You know, I remember when my mother was sick and she was going in and out of early hospital, the insurance company would only pay so much. And the hospital would send me a bill for the rest. So, you know, I was paying the bills. And they was coming, and it was $300, $400, $500. I had the children at home. I was paying the bills as best as I could. And then I missed a couple of payments. When you got children at home, you miss a couple of payments. I missed a couple of payments. And I got a phone call from what they call a collection agency. And this guy tried to intimidate me. He said, you know you missed a couple of bills. I said, I know. Are they in the mail, or when can we expect them? That's what he said. Are they in the mail, or when can we expect them? I told him, they're not my bills. Then he tried to get sweet. They're your mother's bills. And you do want to pay them, don't you? I told him, I did, but since you called, I'm not paying them. Since you called, I'm not paying them. See, you got to know how to talk to these folks. Because when they get you over a barrel, they got you. Now, I'm laughing because I thought about Sister Davis years ago when she bought a car. She missed a payment. And the man said, you missed a payment. She said, well, I don't have the money right now. And he said, no, you missed the payment. She said, you can't get blood out of a rock. He said, you wasn't a rock when you bought our car. These folks rough. Now listen Christ told his disciples, be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Matthew 10:16. In other words, be as smart as your enemy is. You got to be just as smart as he is. You know, I like it when you deal with these kind of folks like that, no creditors. My cousin in Jackson, that's a pastor, his father was a pastor before him, and his father died. The creditors start going after the son. Going after him. And he stopped taking their calls. Then one of them sent letters. So he wrote a letter back to him and said, here's where you can find my dad. And he gave him the address to the cemetery. Let's stop that. Let's stop that. See, I'm going to tell you something. I was talking about this man once, this man in 2 Kings chapter 4. And a brother told me a lot of men are upset with you about that. Now, why would you be upset unless you could identify with this man? See, he said, a lot of men are upset with you about that. You know what I told him? Luke 6:26 says, woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you. Woe unto you. For so did their fathers to the false prophets. Woe unto you when all men speak well of you. So, in other words, if everybody's speaking well of me, I ain't doing something right. I'm not doing something right. I'm not concerned about folk negative attitudes and words toward me. Like that song I heard, I am what God says I am. You know, we can't control what folks say or how they treat us, but we can control our response. I believe that. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Romans 3:23. That word all means we all stand on level ground before God. And for me to badmouth or slander you is like one skunk telling another skunk, you stink. Same thing. Now in closing, I want to say this. The Lord welcomes those who others avoid. See, this lady's neighbors avoided her. They knew what shape she was in. Man coming and going, taking stuff. Every time he leaves, he's taking stuff. They knew what shape she was in. The Lord welcomes those that others avoid. I'm going to read a few words in Galatians 5:22. It says this, but the fruit of the Spirit is love. The fruit of the Spirit is love. Now, we should not expect unsaved folk and immature, uncommitted believers to exhibit spiritual fruit. And the reason why, because their ways are movable. They got movable ways. You know, I thought about my friend that married this young lady and had a baby. A couple of years down the road there, he divorced her, married her sister, and had 2 more. Now that's movable ways there. All them folks were messed up. We were close. We grew up in kindergarten. And see, there's instances, listen, y'all know I'm right about this. There's instances where folk love one child over another. And that creates problems. When you put one child before another. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to stop. This ain't nothing new. Genesis chapter 25, verse 24. This ain't nothing new where folks will prefer one child over another. And see, I'm going to tell you, that's going to cause problems. Here's 2 brothers or 2 sisters, and mama loved this one more than she loved that one. That's going to start some mess. Or it's time for allowances, and you give Jackie a penny more than you give James. That's going to cause a problem. Now, I'm going to show you something about this. Genesis chapter 25, verse 24 through 28. I'm going to read verse. Okay, here we go. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out. And his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 70 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew. Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now, these boys are twins. The only difference is one harried her neighbor. Daddy loved one, and mama loved another. That caused problems. It wasn't their fault. It was the parents' fault. Now, let me show you something else. Turn it over. Genesis 27, 1 through 5. The parents started this mess. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old, and his eyes were dim, he had some cataracts, so that he could not see. He called Esau, his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here am I. And he said, Behold now, I'm old, and I know not the day of my death. Now therefore, take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard what Esau spake, and Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son. These boys twins, same parents. Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, twin brothers, and you got his son, and then you got her son. Something wrong with that. And that caused problems all the way down, all the way down the line between Esau and Jacob. See, I was reading about love. That's why I said the fruit of the Spirit is love. And I looked at love in the Song of Solomon. And Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 6, says, Love is strong as death, and jealousy is cruel as the grave. Love is strong as death. And the Apostle Paul went a little further. In 1 Corinthians 13:13, he said, And now abide faith, hope, and love. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Faith, hope, and love. These three, and the greatest of these is love. Now let me tell you, Jacob turned out to be a real tough man. He turned out to be real tough. I thought about when Jacob was coming home, and Genesis chapter 37, verse 1 and 2. Let's look at that, and we'll stop. Genesis chapter 37, verse 1 and 2. He had to run from Esau because one parent loved one and the other one loved another one. And Esau said, when my daddy died, I'm going to kill Jacob. And God told Rebekah. Chapter 37. This is what's scary. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brother. And the lad were with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children. He did the same thing. He did this. You would think by him being subject to that, he wouldn't want nothing to do with it. He did the same thing. He loved Joseph more than all his other children. Guess what? That caused Joseph some problems. Y'all know what happened to Joseph. He picked Joseph out among all the other children. See, that happens in families right now. You start making differences between kids. And they're going to grow up and if they don't dislike each other, they'll dislike you. One or the other. But you know, I really like Jacob. Jacob, everybody has their faults. But man, that was bad. I really like his tenacity. Jacob wasn't tough, he was tenacious. You know what tenacious means? I'm not going to let go. And I love that when Jacob told God Esau was coming, deliver me, I pray thee from him. I'm afraid of him. And that night Jacob sent his children and whatever across the brook, and he stayed over there, and an angel came and wrestled Jacob all night. And Jacob wouldn't let go, and the angel snatched his hip out of the joint. Jacob said, I'm not going to let go till you bless me. He snatched his hip out of the joint, and Jacob was limping. And the next day, here come Esau with 400 armed men. And Jacob had to face Esau. He didn't cut and run. He went out there to meet Esau. That wasn't a show of defiance, because He knew he couldn't, he was afraid of him. He told God he was afraid of him. But when he walked up to Esau, by him going out there first, limping, ragged from wrestling an angel all night, he was letting Esau know, I'm not much, but you're going to have to go through me to get these. And Esau would have bowled right over him if he wanted to. But he didn't. I said, that's a man now. The average man would cut and run. You know, he after me. He ain't going to bother him. Well, what if he killed all the kids and the wife? And he out there hiding somewhere. Now he has to live with that. He have to live with it. I said, Jacob, tough man. You gonna wrestle with the angel all night? See, your brother King wrestled with the angel all night, and I seen him, he all ragged the next morning, limping and carrying on, and I want to fight. I knew I can bowl right over. He already tired. Tired and beat up. And Jacob walked out there and let him know, you got to go through me to get him. I said, what a man, what a man, what a man. Amen. Okay.